Good afternoon. It's Tuesday. Do you have your mask?
Oh, yeah.
I have a black one now. I bought a. I have stepped up. I bought a pack that has different colors for different outfits. Since I have to wear one, might as well match.
And you told me the other day that I had my
it
mask on inside out. I didn't know there was a right way to wear one of these. I thought it was
It's usually blue's on the outside. I really don't know if it matters. Somebody can tell us. If you're a mask expert, let us know.
Okay. I'm not, but I've got my mask.
Yep, you got your wipe.
Got my wipe too?
Yep. Good news on the wipe front.
What is that?
Regina found some. Yes, it's been hard fought, but we ordered some, and I believe it's going to arrive soon.
That's great.
Yeah.
It's amazing how the masks got hard. You couldn't get them, and the wipes you couldn't get them, and the toilet paper you couldn't get it. It is amazing the kind of things people just hoarded.
Still haven't figured out the toilet paper piece, but that's as you say, that's another story.
That's another story.
That's another story.
And there are many stories. There are many stories.
Yes.
So what are you rolling with today?
Well, I brought my tissues today because I figured we were going to talk about a few things that's going on in our family, but also in other people's families in the church also right now. So,
okay.
But you brought your book, your current book, which I threw away my 2020 planner.
Your 2020 planner? We're still in 2020.
I know, but it had so many mark-throughs.
Oh,
from March to now that I'm
plans,
I'm just going to not have one right now, and I'll pull one out. But we were reading through before we went live some of the things that you wrote back in January, which is kind of interesting. But we'll start with this one.
Okay.
From Pericles. What you leave behind is not what is engraved in stone monuments, but what is woven into the lives of others. And that is very timely because of your mother, my grandmother, went to glory on Sunday while you were preaching, "Are you a friend of God?"
Yep. And she was. And in that sermon, I was talking about benchmarks to look at the life of Abraham, and Abraham is the only one in Scripture that's called God's friend, and then to look at the benchmarks. That he and God had open communications. They didn't always agree on everything, but they had open communications, and he trusted God without question, when most of us would be still questioning and questioning. And Mom was a person of trust, great trust in God. She was not a big talker about faith, but she was a very faithful person. And I think that not talking much about it is part of her generation. They just, folks that are that generation, the generation before the baby boomers, she was part of that greatest generation. Mm-hmm. They didn't talk a lot. Feelings were held close because a lot of the feelings they had were shaped by the Great Depression. Mamas were shaped by World War I. She was born at the end of that, 1921, and then the Great Depression came right on the heels of that, and then World War II was right there. And Korea, it was just so much hard times in there, so much hard times. All during World War II and the Korean War and all that, it was touch and go for everybody. Death was a reality for people then. When you think of all the folks who died, and we lived, Daddy was in the neighborhood, and so was in the Navy, and so where we lived was around Navy bases, and virtually all my friends, their dads were in the military, and during the wars, their moms were working, because all the men were gone who were able-bodied, and so death was a real common thing. You'd see the little banners hanging in the window with the stars for the people who were at the war, and then when one of them died, the star became, instead of a blue star, became a gold star. They were everywhere. It was just part of it. And nobody had anything, and so consequently everybody had enough. And that doesn't sound right, but But that's the truth of it. Yeah. So what you said, what you leave behind is what is engraved in stone monuments, but what's woven in the heart. So what's woven into your heart from Mama?
Oh, well, way too much to mention in Ponderings, but she always made us laugh. I mean, even last week when we went and visited, and just continuously laughing. And so we were talking about what to put in the obituary yesterday, and this was just precious. She left a lot of little notes that it looked like probably the notepad that was next to her phone, and she'd think of something and she'd jot it down on a little yellow piece of paper, and then she had this envelope that had your name and Sissy on it. So we were looking at some of that stuff yesterday, and she gave specific directions. Keep it simple, names, but then there was humor. Do not put in there that I like to play cards. I mean, so I started giggling about it again last night, thinking she probably read someone's obituary, and she was like, I don't want that. So I'm going to make sure that they know that. But her legacy is
Let me tell you something
the
about
people that touched
also,
her,
also was humor.
that she touched.
Don't tell anybody I played cards. I remember I preached a funeral one time on the historic campus, and Mom always sat, if you're in the pulpit, she always sat over here. And so when I was preached the funeral, and I talked about the person, and I said, and she always sat right back over there. Well, the next Sunday, Mama came in, she wasn't sitting over there, she was sitting over here. And I looked over there for her, she wasn't there. I said, what are you doing over here? She said, I'm going to be moving around because I don't want you to ever say about me, I sat right there. You know, I want to be all around like that.
But she didn't do that much.
No, she didn't.
She went right back.
Right back. She is a person of habit. She really
was a person of habit.
Yes,
was.
She was.
Part of her legacy was every Sunday growing up, she lived next door to us. We would all ride together. We'd go from our house, pick her up, and we'd all ride together. And she, during the sermon, always took out some kind of mints and passed them down the row. But the last time she was in service, she was sitting right there, at the dedication. Mm-hmm. So lots of precious, precious memories. But I think her legacy is how she touched so many people. And I've heard stories over the past 2 days, this morning going into cross schools. Apparently, she used to be the laminator in the office when cross schools first started.
Yep.
And helped Leslie Hunter when she was teaching, and would laminate and cut out and do a lot of office things. And
she would read to little children. She loved to read storybooks to them. And she talked about how some of them didn't behave very well. But
yeah, I'm sure she did.
Most of
Behavior was a big deal.
Big deal for Mom.
Big deal.
Big deal for Mom. You behaved, yep. That was big.
And then I thought this was a really sweet story from Phyllis Spearman yesterday. She said that when she and her husband first started coming to the historic campus and first joined, that Gigi made it a point to practically walk her to the car after service on Sundays just to make sure that she knew that she was welcomed and we were glad that she was there. I thought that was sweet.
Yeah. And you know, there are lots of folks in the congregation that do that. They want to make sure people feel welcome. Because in a lot of churches you go to, if it's an old church, the same congregation has been there for generations, and it's kind of a closed system. You can't really break into it. And I think our folks are appreciative of the fact that we don't have all those multiple generations, not at all. And some folks have had those kinds of experiences previously, and they come and they don't have them, and it's refreshing for them. You know, Mom, 99 is a long time. And after the service, we went out there and were there with Mama for a few minutes and prayed, and then I just came back here and sat in the chapel. Just to think about all that, you know. And I'll tell you, as I was sitting here in the chapel, I looked up at that window up there, Jesus and the children, and a memory came back. And it was a memory of Alan Wooten. You remember?
Oh, yeah.
Alan of Dissension. When Francis Mack died, his wife, he had 4
Little children.
little children. And he and I and Grange McCoy and people in a prayer group, and so we were meeting early that morning, and Alan was talking to us, and he just didn't know how he was going to tell those little children that their mama died. Didn't know how he was going to do that. And so on the morning of the funeral, he told them. And he thought they had it. Until that night, when he was putting the children to bed, Caroline, the littlest one, was 3. And she climbed up on his lap and kissed him and said, "Daddy, what was in that box they put in the ground today?" Whoa. And you know, Alan said the Lord gave him the words. He said, "I told her some things that belong to Mama." Isn't that something? Some things that belong to Mama. So I wrote a thing today, because we're not able to have a funeral for Mama, and we'll go up to the country up there and bury Mama's ashes next to Daddy and Dee Dee, and not far from where Alan's wife's buried. Mm-hmm. Be right there. So I was thinking about, what are the things that are in the box that belong to Mama? And I was thinking, in that box would be those hands that would make that shiny ice and chocolate cake. Shoulders that people cried on. Arms that hug people. Feet that were always willing to go the second mile. Twinkling eyes. Twinkling eyes. Twinkling with a joy for life and a touch of devilment. Twinkling eyes. But you know what's not going to be in that box? Mama's not going to be in that box. Because she's gone home now. That was one of the things we'd had a funeral service that she wanted just 2 songs.
She was very specific about it also.
She did not want the congregation singing them.
What does that mean?
In other words, she wanted somebody, a solo
A
person.
professional.
Well, just somebody, but not the congregation singing it.
I know, but one
So she wanted to have, the 2 songs she wanted were On Eagle's Wings and Going Home. Well, On Eagle's Wings is a tough song
That's a hard
to
song.
sing. So I think she was saying, don't let the congregation mess it up.
Right.
Let somebody can sing it.
She
Maybe
clearly had heard some messing up before.
I mean, that is a hard song.
That is. And we sang that at Dee Dee's funeral, your
Yeah.
sister.
And the other song we sang at Dee Dee's funeral that she wanted was Going Home. And if you remember, we did that as we were walking out. And Dee Dee's casket went out first, and then it was me and Mama and Sissy. Arm in arm went up behind that, and it was singing Going Home.
I think it's hard during this time, though, that those traditions and things like a service or a funeral, and you're not able to really mourn the way that our culture normally does. So it's a little bit different, and that's difficult. And a lot of people have had to walk through that during this time, and it's hard. And we had 2 other people pass away Saturday and Sunday, Anita Fox and Bob Cipher, and lots of other people the past couple of months. So that's hard. But there is a peace in knowing that we know where she is. She's gone home.
going home.
That's a beautiful song. Mm-hmm.
Going home, going home. I'm a-going home. Going home, going home. I'm just going home. It's not far, just close by, through an open door. Work all done, cares laid by. Gonna fear no more. Dee Dee's there expecting me. Charlie's waiting too. Lots of folks gathered there. All the friends I knew. Morning star lights the way. Worrisome dreams all done. Shadows gone, light of day. New life just begun.
Mm-hmm.
Going home. So Mama's gone home. Oh, praise God. Praise God. It's hard to think about not having your mama around. You know, I've helped other people think about not having their mothers, but I've never had to think about not having my mother. So,
Right.
and you haven't either. It's just different. And I'll be a better pastor for having this experience. Mom was a gutsy person. A gutsy person. She lived Daddy died in '83, so she was a widow for
36 years.
36, 37 years, yeah. But you know, she had been alone for a long time, a lot of times, because Daddy was gone so much. Just because she was in that period of war. Something just came to mind. I was thinking about we were living in either Daytona or St. Petersburg. I don't remember which one it was, but a hurricane came and Daddy wasn't there. And so Mama had to get us, and we had to cross over this causeway to get to the mainland because the hurricane was coming. And this is back before we had the Weather Channel and all that stuff.
So you didn't have 10 days advance notice.
And we had some rabbits in a pen that stood off of the ground it must have been about that high. And so just a chicken wire pen, and had these little rabbits in there, and had a German Shepherd dog, and
those two don't go together.
No. So anyway, Mom was hustling to get us in, 3 children in the car and whatever it was we had to have with us, and she just put all the chickens and the dog and all that in the garage. But we got back 3 or 4 days later. It wasn't chickens, it was rabbits. We got back 3 or 4 days later, and that pen had been torn to smithereens. Rabbits were nowhere to be found, and the dog is smiling. The dog is smiling. Oh my goodness. But you know what? Mama didn't care. We were safe. See, that's
right.
the big thing. None of that stuff really mattered. She was all about her family.
Mm-hmm.
All about her family. So you were like 10 or 11 years old when Daddy died?
I was 10.
10.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for sharing everyone my age.
So that would make you...
Okay. 46.
46. Well, now, 37 and 10 is 47.
Not yet.
Not. Oh, it's September is when it is, isn't it? You and your brother, September. Yes. September 10.
Yes.
Oh.
But she was also, she had thoughts and opinions,
Mm-hmm.
and she shared them, but in love.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Very
which
much
is
so.
what we're supposed to do. That's a part of that refining process. And so,
You know, I think I'm supposed to be crying, but I'm not.
well, that's because you know. I mean, 99 years. What a blessing and what a gift. And this whole past year, she's been saying, I do not know why God still has me here.
Oh, yeah.
I do not know. Every time we went and saw her, I do not know why God still has me here. But
Yeah. Well, now she can ask him, but I doubt she will. You know, I think that's one of those things about having, you have, I'm going to find out this and I'm going to find out that and all, and you, I think you get there and you see how trivial all your questions were, and they just disappear in the midst of the angels. You know, all those things that we fret about are gone.
I know in 1 Corinthians, it says when we see him face to face, we'll have full understanding. Like you won't have any questions.
That's right.
All your questions, you'll get it, and you'll be in the presence of Jesus, and all that stuff doesn't matter.
You must have been reading that book.
I've been reading that book.
It's a lot in the book. It's a lot
There's
in the
a
book.
lot in the book.
A lot in the book now. Yeah.
I'm on Joseph right now. You did a teaching on Joseph last year.
Joe, that's a good teacher. That's a great story. So.
Isn't it the most chapters in
Chapters.
Scripture are on Joseph?
Oh, Joseph, yeah. The patriarchs start with chapter 12. That's where Abraham starts, and go through 12 to 50. And Isaac is a short one in there. Abraham and then Isaac, and then you got Jacob, and that's not all that long. And then you're into Joseph's story. I think that starts about the 48th chapter or something like that. Yeah, that's a good one. I want to do some teaching coming up here, but I don't know what I want to teach on yet, except I know around Christmas time I want to teach on Mary. I haven't ever taught on her before. I want to do some teaching on her, and maybe get Lisa to help me with some artwork on that. There'd be a ton
There's
of
plenty of
artwork for
artwork that you could pick up from Mary, for sure. Well, that'll be good to look forward to.
Yeah, I won't start teaching before that, though. But we'll see. We'll see.
So what else you got on your calendar? You got all kinds of stuff filling in the next couple of months? It's kind of different. We're having to shift things a little bit and try to figure things out and new ways of doing things.
I want to make a video and put it out next week, kind of, because next week will be, it was like March the...
We shut down on March, the last service, I believe, was the 15th.
Yep, so we'll be moving up on, what would that be, 5 months, 6 months, something like that. We're starting the 6th month. And I want to do a video and just kind of recap where we were, what we've done, what we've been doing, some highlights that are in there. And then I want to maybe include in that some of what we've learned and how we'll apply that coming forward. Like the whole idea of the online teaching and everything. I think we could do it. We've talked about that, about doing the leadership courses, breaking it up into modules with questions and where people can do it on their own. This whole idea of being able to intersect discipleship in a more convenient kind of way, and of us sending things out instead of expecting people to come on campus for them. I think that's big. I think we won't get away from that. But particularly as we grow and we're so doggone scattered out, and as the number of people who are watching us online grows, that can't possibly come to a place, we need to be able to intersect with them, and we can do that with virtual teaching modules, and not just in leadership training or confirmation or baptism preparation classes, things like that, but in all the teachings that we do. And maybe move into teachings not just be one way, but move into some kind of interacting with that, with questions that they ask, and then maybe you do a teaching this week, you have questions, and then you have people send in the answers you talk about, or you chat or Zoom or something like that, and you talk about the answers back and forth. So there's a give and take that transcends the distance that separates people physically, but you can get together over the Word and explore and plumb the depths of it. So I want us to move into that more. And we had a big week Sunday afternoon with Juan.
I don't know if you saw the picture. We'll have it in the e-news on Thursday for sure, but on Facebook we posted on Sunday at 50 people show up for the first service at 1 o'clock, and that'll be every week going forward at 1 o'clock on the historic campus, and so exciting. And I believe that's a first for the entire diocese.
As far as I know.
Right. So
I tell you what,
exciting.
I got there, I was a little bit late because I'd been here in the chapel, so I got there late with the side door. Wanted to ask me if I could to come and do the blessing at the end of the service. So anyway, I slid in the side door, and Juan's in the sermon, he's preaching, and he's standing down there in the aisle. I mean, he is going for it now. And I told one of the volunteers who was there, I think it was Sarah Javala, I told her afterward, I said, I did not understand a word that Juan said in that sermon, but I believe he believed every bit of it, because Juan's all over the place anyway, but he was moving around, and the people were into it and nodding their heads and everything, and he's genuine. That's the thing.
Yes.
In a time where there's not a lot of genuineness. Mom was genuine too. You're pretty genuine.
I like to think so.
I like to think so too.
And he's so passionate.
Oh yeah.
Passion transcends language for sure.
Yep.
And
Sure
he's
does.
passionate about Jesus Christ is what he's passionate about. He just pulled up a few minutes ago. Back of the red truck, loaded down with things he was taking to somebody. And he said, take a picture of me. He does love pictures. But just to show that he's continuously reaching out and meeting the needs of the community.
And he made a lot of connections, and he's there every Monday at the food bank, and he talks to the people who are coming to get the food, and he preaches with them and witnesses to them and all that kind of, in a relational kind of way. And he'd been doing that for months, and so therein is where he was planting the seeds for what's starting to blossom this past Sunday, you see. And so that's a important thing for y'all who are donating to the food bank, the food and stuff. Those numbers are just huge. But it's not just somebody coming by to pick up, families coming by to pick up several bags of food. They're getting handouts, they're getting Bibles, and they're getting this relationship kind of thing as best you can do it without a lot of touching. And Latino and Hispanic people are very much into touching the expressive kinds of movements. And Juan's all over it. But it's important. And what the point I'm trying to make is those of you who are donating to the food bank and bringing your food in there on Saturday mornings or dropping it off at a worship service or on Monday mornings, you're contributing to a massive outreach effort that's culminating in a congregation of folks that we would never, ever have intersected with before. And a lot of those folks not been baptized. One's planning a big baptism coming up now. And I think I believe it's on the beach is where he wants to have it, middle of September. I believe that's correct, but I'm not sure. Don't write that on your calendar.
Yeah, things are on pencil right now on the calendar. But, so way more than a can of spaghetti sauce.
Oh yeah,
is what you're
it's a
contributing
tool
to.
for evangelism.
Right.
That's what it is.
Which is straight out of the book of James.
Yeah, each one reach one. That's what we're doing. Each one reach one.
And there, in the picture, there were a lot of children, which was a huge blessing. And I just want to share one thing from Sunday on this campus. I noticed when I was doing the registrations for 9 o'clock and 10:30, there was a husband and wife. And the husband had signed up for 9 o'clock here, and the wife had signed up for 10:30. And they usually come together, but during pre-COVID time. But they have two little ones. I think the youngest is probably about a year, and the oldest is maybe 3. So pretty active age. And so I saw the husband in the narthex, and I said, I noticed that, are y'all tag teaming today? And he said, yeah. He said, I'm coming to this service, and then she's going to meet me here, and I'll play with the girls on the playground while she goes into service. And that just touched me, that both of them recognized we need to be in service. How can we make this work for our family?
That's right.
And it was just so neat to see. He recognized she needs her time and I need my time. And so
And that's the thing.
that's a blessing.
How can we make it work for our family, as opposed to how can we use it as an excuse or a stumbling block for our family to do other things, which are not near as important. So,
But that really, that was a real encouragement to see, and it really blessed me with him just sharing that. So amazing things happening all over the place in the midst of unusual times, for sure.
yeah. And I think you just have to, we just all have to be attentive. We have to keep our eyes open to see the unusual kinds of ways that the Lord is working now. He hadn't gone on vacation. He's still active and going. It's just we got to tune our eyes, because we tend to look from our own experience level and see what we think we see as opposed to what we actually do see. And don't think you're going to see what used to be. You have to see what is coming to be. And that means you need to look with different eyes. And your eyes need to be attentive. And don't just let your eyes roll around. Look and see what you see. Not what you think you see.
I think there was something like that in your
Oh,
book that you wrote back in January. It was interesting to read some of them. Maybe we'll share them next week, about things that you wrote down in January and February, and then it's like, wow, that's a powerful word actually for right now.
Yep.
Not
Things
knowing
change so
what
much.
was coming. Yeah. Food bank yesterday, I don't remember the specific number that was in the email, but same needs as last week: jelly, pasta, canned vegetables. We had a lot of food come in on Sunday at Cross Point, so bring the food to services. I think that's a great
either
way.
campus.
Yeah, at all the services. You can bring your food, and diapers, sizes 5 and 6, school supplies, schools.
Tuna fish, that's always on there. Canned tuna fish.
That is on there sometimes. That is on there. So some ministries are in August will start gathering together if they feel comfortable gathering together, but a lot of people are utilizing Zoom right now, which brings me to an announcement for the women.
Just happened to work that in there, didn't
Just
you?
happened to work that in there. You like how to
Well,
slide
please,
that in?
I'm just pitter-patter, my heart's going here. What is the announcement?
Well, it should be. We are finishing up. We have 2 weeks left of our virtual summer study, and we're going to follow up with the next in this series that takes you through the entire Old Testament. So the next one is Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. Seeing Jesus in, and those are tough books.
I'm telling you.
Leviticus. But how are we seeing Jesus through all of that? So we start the end of August. So signups have happened for that. We're going to be doing it virtually. I have loved the Zoom platform. We have people from different places that have joined us. So that's exciting to see. So sign up. I'll be in the e-news this week.
The way you got that worked out is you got 30 or 40 ladies or something. Y'all are on there at one time. And then when it comes time for the small groups, it just splits you out into 5 or 6 people.
It does. You just click the button, break into small groups, and it'll tell you, here's how many people you have, here's how many you should have in each group. But it's been neat to see that
And then,
ladies have
those 4 or
connected.
5 people are Zooming with each other. That is slick.
It really is. It's pretty amazing. And people from different services and campuses have connected, which normally would not happen.
That's right.
So it's been really fun. So if you're interested in a woman's study in the Old Testament, and everything that we're doing is pointing to Jesus, that starts the end of August on Fridays, 11 to 12. We meet for an hour, and it's connected with Right Now Media, which is also another wonderful resource.
And all the members of the parish have that, don't they?
All the members of the parish have access, all have not.
Right now, tell them about Right Now Media. What do they have access to?
You have access to, what was my pitch to you? How many millions of dollars worth of, it's like $5 million worth of materials for free that the church has given you. I'll put the link in the comments. If you haven't signed up, I encourage you. It's absolutely free. You do not have to pay for anything. The link is on the website. Every Bible teacher practically that you can think of, there are videos and
Sound like
downloadable materials so you can do studies in small groups or by yourself, devotionals, all kinds of stuff. Lots of things for kids too.
it sounds like a free trip through a biblical Walmart.
It's a biblical Walmart.
They got everything in there.
That's true. That's a good point.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
That's a good idea. I had
Using
not
those
thought
kidneys, got it.
I had not thought about that.
Yeah.
So if you're not connected with Right Now Media, I'll put a link in the
You know, they
comments.
didn't have Walmart when I was growing up.
I know, y'all had like the 5 and dime?
We had Woolworths.
Woolworths.
5 and dime. Woolworths. Downtown Charleston. Crest was down there too. That was another dime store.
They just
McClellan's
recently
was also a
redid that
dime store.
building. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man, a dime store, you could go a long way with a quarter.
Well, I guess that's the equivalent to our dollar store, maybe.
I don't know. I've never been to a dollar store. But I've been to a dime store. They always had a smell about them. The floors were always wood and old. And when they did those wood floors, they weren't sealed floor. They used a penetrating oil.
Mm-hmm.
And so you walk into it and it has this decades of penetrating oil kind of aroma that kind of just wafts
Permeates.
through the air, you know, like that. Dime stores were magic places. They really were. A
And
little
then
fella
it's
could
not
walk
like the
through
dollar
there.
store. I don't think the dollar store is a magic place.
Oh, they were magic. You had the counters up off the ground. You didn't have the things that went down like that. Everything was, you stand up, you could peek over the top of it, see all that kind of stuff. Just amazing. Just amazing. And they had a thing in there, I remember. Mama would go to it. Mama sewed. She made clothes.
She was a great seamstress.
Oh, yeah. And she loved to go to the place where they had all the sewing stuff. And they had patterns in there. And you could pick out patterns for dresses or whatever she was making. And then there was these huge racks of little shelves that had thread in there, all different colors of thread. And the needle rack, oh, it was really something, really something. She didn't ever make my clothes, though, that I remember.
Maybe when you were little.
Maybe
But
so.
she made dresses for the girls.
But I remember we'd go down there to Walmart, to the Woolworths place, and you could get jeans there too. And every year before school started, you got a new pair of jeans. That was it, your new pair of jeans. And of course, everybody's growing, so the idea was you get your pair of jeans, and they fit you around your waist. Nobody put on weight, you just got taller. And you get them, and the legs are too long, so as the year starts out, you see the pictures, and the legs are all rolled up, and you see the picture from the end of the year, and the legs are down and down and down and down and down. So next year you get another one, and how you get it 3 or 4 inches too long, so you just roll up the cuffs on the bottom of the thing. Yeah, that was pretty special.
Did they call them jeans or dungarees?
Dungarees.
Dungarees.
Then that became an unacceptable word, so then it went to blue jeans. And then somewhere along the line, they started having different color jeans.
Yes.
But you never threw jeans away. They were made to last. And when they got too short, then Mom would just cut them off. Wear them
Summer
as
shorts.
Oh, yeah.
With bare feet.
Bare feet, no shirt, you had it. Go for it. Go for it. Life was easy. You didn't even use deodorant back in those days. You're a child, you know, you're outside playing. And beside it, you get dirt all over your dust and everything. But you had to take a bath at night. But that's another story, too. What? What are you giggling about?
This is called Padre's Ponderings because we never know what's gonna come out in the ponderings.
But
So
you know,
there was that
the
one.
thing about taking a bath, there was 3 of us. And, you know, you take a bath, and she took turns who got to the bath first. Because you didn't change that water.
Oh boy.
Water was
So
in
you
there.
would have been the dirtiest. So were you last?
But it depends. It rotated around.
Oh.
So I might get the clean water today, and then tomorrow Sissy gets it, the next day Dee Dee gets it, you know, and then I'm back up to the top again. It just kind of rolls around like that. Yeah, water's expensive. Yeah, I mean, you were watching.
Right.
Everybody was watching everything. Mm-hmm. Watching everything. And we'll talk about that. Didn't have showers then either. Showers took too much.
Mm-hmm.
So put it in there. You know, like You brush your teeth. A lot of times, people you brush your teeth, you leave the water running. No, turn that water off.
Yeah, well, we're not supposed to do that now.
Yeah, we didn't do it back then, man. That was a killing offense. Yeah, put that water in the sink. Shake that toothbrush around there. Anyway.
It built up your immune system.
Yeah, oh yeah. You didn't get sick from those kind of things.
No.
And the thing is, if you got sick, measles, anything you got sick with, cold, anything like that, Mom would put all three of us, you'd sleep together in the bed. Everybody get it at the same time. She did not like this thing of somebody being sick all the pile in the bed, get sick.
My, how things have changed.
My, how things have changed. That's right.
All right. Well, you're preaching on Historic Campus this week. Are you a friend of God?
Yep.
Juan is at both Cross Point and the chapel. Salt and Light from Matthew 5. Registrations are open, so we hope to see you on Sunday.
Yeah, y'all please come on out and sign up ahead of time so that we can squeeze in as many people as we can. And I was blessed to be at Cross Point this past week, and there was a goodly number of people there. Praise God for that. And say your prayers too that, we continue to mask and do social distancing and keep your hands clean and all the other precautions you're supposed to take so that those numbers can kind of creep on down again. We want schools to get going and the children to come back and be able to come to Sunday school and all the rest of it. But we gotta have a safe place for them, and that's number one. That's number one. So we want you to go to heaven, but we don't want you to go too soon.
All right. So go in peace to love and serve the Lord.
Thanks
be to God.
On it today.
You're on
it today. All that we do here, know that God loves you, and I love you too. Blessings to you.
Have a great week.